What you're looking at are drawings done with pencil, nothing digital, no paint, just a sharp piece of graphite dragged across a sheet of paper, carefully in a way to capture what something feels and looks like. Water is just one of many textures that graphite lends itself to particularly well. It's extremely hard to draw. For me, it's possibly one of the hardest things to draw, which is exactly why I'll end this story with water. Because I want to take you through the textures that I think are the most challenging to draw with pencil, from punishing all the way to this. And while we're going through the textures, there's a question that comes up for each, which is, what's the trick that suddenly unlocks this texture that makes it easier to capture? There's actually an answer to that, and I'll get to that at the end. Also, this video is sponsored by Squarespace, but I'll tell you more about them later. But first, let's start off with this one, and that is wood and bone, or wood and bone, like horns and things. I've grouped these together because they fail you in precisely the same way. They are extremely textured. The grain, the cracks, the knots, the splinters, there's so much detail packed into them that the solution to drawing it feels like it must be to draw each and every single little detail. But that's the trap, because when you render everything, you get something exhausting to look at and somehow still doesn't read as wood. The texture ends up competing with itself. Nothing gets to be in focus because everything is shouting all at once. So the small note here isn't about drawing the textures. The skill is choosing which things to leave out. You pick a few moments to really put your attention into the spots where you want the viewer's eyes to travel when they look closely at your work. And the rest just falls away. You suggest it and you trust that your viewer will fill in the gaps. Your drawing gets to breathe and you end up with something that looks more like wood than it would have if you'd drawn every single little grain. This doesn't make it easy. You still have to put the hours in, but it helps just a little bit. Now, this next texture, things change just a little bit. This one isn't hard because of what your hands need to do. This one's hard because of the person viewing your work. The texture I'm talking about is skin. We have been looking at skin our entire lives. We have studied skin on our hands, on our friends' faces, on our own bodies, thousands of times over, which means our eyes are absolute experts at it. And they are merciless critics. We usually can't say what's wrong with a badly drawn face, but we can tell it instantly. Skin doesn't punish you with difficulty. It punishes you with familiarity. The margin for error is just so tiny because you're drawing for an audience of experts. And the fix also is a bit counterintuitive. When something looks wrong, you want to add more. You want to add more detail, more pause, more texture, more fixing. But skin is mostly about the big soft transition of values, the slow turn from light into shadow as it moves across a cheek. Get those large relationships right, get them smooth and accurate, and you're most of the way there already. It's the textures and the pause and the fine stuff that comes last. And it comes in lightly. Skin is subtle, so you have to be subtle. I use cotton wool to gently blend these shapes, not because of how smooth it goes, but because of the subtle grain that it leaves behind. Another helpful trick is to brush over the marks that you've made. This helps to just soften them a bit and push them back into a bit of a more natural texture. Next, we have hair, and this is one that I really struggle with because it looks like chaos. It looks like a mess you could just improvise your way through, and it's absolutely not. It's one of the most relentless things to draw. It has direction, it has flow. It looks random, it falls in clumps and messes that catch light in very specific ways. And if you lose focus and get lulled into a pattern, it very quickly starts to look wiry and rigid. Moments that feel too controlled, the eye catches immediately. So it's this strange combination of needing to look loose and effortless while actually being incredibly disciplined. The note that helped me with this is to stop thinking in strands and to start thinking in shapes. Blocking in larger masses first, the overall dark shapes of the hair, often with graphite powder rather than a line. And then the work is actually pulling the light back out with an eraser. Being able to work like this does depend on how you apply the graphite though. I've made some videos showing how I apply dark graphite in a way that allows you to easily remove highlights again. And when drawing like this, the eraser actually becomes a drawing tool with hair. But remembering to not fall into the pattern with straight lines will still be a practice in discipline and patience. While this will speed things up a bit, hair just takes hours and hours to draw well. And finally, at the very top of the mountain, there's water. The reason water beats everything else for me is that every texture we've talked about has a logic to it. Wood has grain that flows. Skin turns from light to dark in large patterns that you can predict. They have rules, and once you understand the rules, you can lean on them a little. Water just has no rules, or it has so many rules that it's hard to hold them in your hand all at once. The way that it bends light, the way it refracts and reflects and distorts all at the same time, I find it incredibly hard to find a formula for drawing water, which means I often have to really study a reference to create the illusion. As soon as I play too much, feeling like I've captured it, it slips through my fingers to reveal a flat cartoon rendering of water. I have to spend so much time carefully drawing and watching how it works to accurately capture it. It's completely exhausting, but there are some things that help when drawing water. Water loves to play with light. It wants pure light, it wants to shine, so keeping your paper clean so that your highlights are bright is crucial. Water doesn't ask for cleverness, it asks for obedience. It asks you to slow way down, to stop trying to capture it, to try and understand it, and rather to go into a state of flow where all you see are shapes and glimpses of light. You surrender to the texture, offering it time, and what you get is pencil, paper, and water. And so we're still left with the question, what is the trick to drawing skin texture or hair or water? And while there are some small things that I've mentioned that might make it a little easier, the main trick that really makes it easier is a mental shift. A shift away from a story that shows effortless drawing, away from how practicing will eventually make everything easy, and rather to one where you embrace the friction of perfection, to one where you savor the puzzle of solving for a texture, and one where the time spent at the drawing table, that incremental understanding of the medium that slowly makes the conversation flow. The backbone of all of this, the thing that drawing like this asks for more than almost any other medium, is time and attention, the willingness to slow right down and really understand the process that you've asked of yourself. Drawing means spending a lot of time with yourself, and strangely, that's sometimes the hardest part of it. At the end of the day, having that time with yourself and time with your drawing is a gift. Before in this video, I just want to give a quick shout out to this video's sponsor, Squarespace. I've been working with them for a couple of years now, and they've played a huge role in my career, not only in sponsoring these videos and helping me maintain this channel, but early on in my career, I was looking for a way to showcase my work and make it easy for collectors to find me and get in touch with me. And I didn't have time to learn HTML and to try and build a beautiful, reliable website. And I found that Squarespace did all of that effortlessly. I never had to patch or upgrade anything. I could register a domain with them and set up an online store. And most importantly, I could design a portfolio and show my work the way that I wanted to. Also, every time I got stuck, their amazing support team helped me out instantly. So if you're looking at building a website, give Squarespace a try. And if you decide that you love them, use this offer code and get 10% off your first purchase. There we go. I thought that this video would be a deep dive into the textures, and it ended up being a bit of like an homage to the practice of drawing. The same thing kept coming up for me while I was thinking about why these textures are hard and the solution to a lot of them. And that is just the sheer amount of time that drawing demands of us. I hope that it isn't a disappointing conclusion. I really believe that that mental shift is that kind of magic fix that makes drawing feel easier. I really hope that this video has helped some of you. If you have any questions for me, let me know in the comments and I'll answer you there. Otherwise, I'll answer you in the next video. As always, thanks for the support, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.